Well, CCTV's Guy Henderson is standing by for us in Houghton, the home of Nelson Mandela in a Johannesburg suburb. He joins us live now from Johannesburg. Guy, what can you tell us?
Well, just down the road from where I'm standing now, hundreds of people and many thousands through today and yesterday on Friday have continued to flock to the Mandela family home in Houghton in the suburb of Johannesburg to continue to pay their respects and say their thanks to Nelson Mandela, the former president who passed away on Thursday evening. I'm now just a few hundred meters down the road from the Mandela home. This is the Nelson Mandela Foundation's Center of Memory. It once served as Nelson Mandela's office. He would be here every single day, and the center here is now in charge of preserving the memory and preserving the legacy of Nelson Mandela. Now I'm joined by its CEO, Mr. Sello Hatang. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm sure it's been a very busy day. Let's just talk a little bit about, you are a South African. You are a man who has spent several years absorbed in working on the legacy and the memory of one of the greatest leaders that humanity has seen, I suppose. What are your emotions in the days after Mr. Mandela has passed away?
Well, I think all of us are still coming to terms with the fact that Mandela is no more. I think even though you knew this day was coming, one was prepared that this day will hit us, but one was not prepared for this great feeling of loss that one is feeling at the moment. But I'm always conscious that Madiba's family needs greater support, much more support than all of us need, and that's why the Nelson Mandela Foundation is there to support the family.
And it seems as though millions of South Africans are there to support the Mandela family now as well, and it seems like it's almost a celebration rather than somber.
I think it's important that it become that it be a celebration, because here's a man who has played his part. He gave South Africa and the world all he could, and this is a time for us to then say we thank you. And you don't thank someone by being somber. You thank them in celebration. And while we sad for the loss, but we're happy that Madiba lived, and he lived for as long as he did.
Now, just to talk a little bit about the work that is done here at the centre, I guess that there will always be those historic moments, so many historic moments throughout Mr. Mandela's life, from the Rivonia trial to his release from prison, the inauguration, countless examples of historic, famous moments that there will always be, I guess, relatively accessible to access the archive material and sort of gather the archive in that respect. What about the things that, the smaller moments, the private moments, I guess the moments that made Mandela the man he was, the character? How do you find those moments, and how do you preserve that kind of legacy?
I think what we tried to do in terms of the exhibition, and you've walked through and you have a sense of the exhibition that we put up, and you'll see that what we did was to not just concentrate on Nelson Mandela, the prisoner, Nelson Mandela, the political figure, but to go beyond that. What we've done there is to give you a sense of the man. We always talk about his humility. We always talk about those characters that make him human. And what we've tried to present, both in what Madiba himself says, in what he writes, but later on we'll also present what people say about him. There's a story that is told by one of his comrades who was in on Robben Island with him. Says that, you know, we always talk about service, Nelson Mandela who gives service, but you never understand that service when until you see him coming through to your cell when you've suffered ill health, and he then takes your bucket and he goes and cleans it and gives it back to you. And I think that's the kind of thing that we want to present. The Nelson Mandela who's not just a public figure, the icon, but the human being, the person that you and I can reach up to and can see ourselves being.
fantastic character, an amazing man, and one of the great leaders of the 20th century.
Of our time, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, we've got 8 days of official memorial ahead of us now. Huge number of events starting tomorrow, Sunday, which will be an official day of mourning. There'll be multi-faith services taking place across South Africa, very possibly across the world as well. A series of events next week, leading up, of course, finally to the state funeral, which will happen next Sunday.